I was born on the 25th of September 1921. It was a Sunday. I was born in Crindle, Row, Limavady. It's now known as the Crindle Stables. They have horses.
Right.
Stables is now known as the Crindle Stables. I was born at home. I was actually the first member in the family that had a doctor present. It was always a handy woman or someone like that came at a birth. But I was the first in the family that a doctor came to. My mum was Michael Moyle, Jane Hall Michael Moyle, and she worked in a newsagent shop in Limavady, and my daddy was a farmer. He had a small farm up in Tartnakelly, above Ballykelly. Well, he had all types of animals. He had cows and he had cattle, sheep. I don't think he had any pigs there until he moved down to the other farm in Crindle. So, my mum had hens, of course, and ducks, and after they were married, of course. They had potatoes, and they had barley, wheat, and all the usual. We had an orchard at Crindle. We had strawberries and we had apples, and then some vegetables there too as well. So the house, oh well, it's just the ordinary house. In those days it was usually 3 windows upstairs and 2 downstairs, each side of the front door. And I think we had 4 bedrooms, but then we put on another bedroom as well, and a bathroom. We didn't have a bathroom at the beginning, and we had to carry our drinking water from a pump in the village. We had a pump in the yard, but that was for the horses and the animals. We used it for that. We had to, and very often I went on the bicycle, but by the time I got home there was a little water in the can. There wasn't much water in the cans. We had no electricity, it was oil lamps. We had to, and look, the work was with them. You had to fill them, you had to clean them, you had to clean the globes, you had to do the wicks. And you didn't do any work on Sunday either. The shoes had to be all clean on Saturday night and set in a row for Sunday. Washing machines, we had no washing machine with the board. We had to scrub the clothes. And I remember we had a big wringer with wooden rollers, and it sat up in the scullery and it was at the window, and if the window was open, this day the sun was shining and the cat came in the window, was lying in the back of the rollers, you know, the wringer. And somebody went up and was putting something through and turned the handle, and the next thing we heard the commotion, the cat was through there. But a cat has 9 lives, you see. But it didn't go the whole way through. When they heard the squeal, they went the opposite way and the cat was out again. There you are. I joined my row. It was really called Lomond School, my row, when I was 4 years old. We walked to school in those days, no buses. We walked to school. It was a very happy time. There was one teacher in particular I was very fond of. She was very good. She had a great influence on my life, actually. She was a lovely person. So, and then, of course, that was the infant's room. It was a man and his wife taught when I went at the beginning, and the man was out in the senior room once she passed, into senior class, she went into the other room and had a good lot of different teachers there, which wasn't, I felt when I got older that it wasn't a good thing because you got used to a teacher and then the teacher went away. It wasn't really a good, really. We had one teacher in particular and he did not like geography. I never was good at geography because he never liked geography, and that day he was a great gardener and he had wee plots out at the back of the school, and he took us out to the garden every geography day. So I never got taught geography when I was young. So we had one master and he wore +4s sometimes. And the day he wore the +4s, you had to be looking out for yourself. He was in a bad temper. I don't know why, but he was in a bad temper that day. So, when I was at my row school, of course, there's plenty of work on the farm. Gather potatoes and I think the present day we're too clean. Because I remember being out in the potato field and they brought us out of tea in the afternoon and we were taking our tea and we never had our hands washed or anything. So, well, I was home, as I say, on the farm, and then there was a postmaster in Dungiven visiting one day, and he passed the remark, "Would you like to come and work in the post office to fill in for holidays?" And I went, and I enjoyed the post office very, very well. I loved it. I would love to have been a nurse, but then I hadn't the qualifications for a nurse, so I liked the post office, but I was only there it was only a part-time job. It wasn't a full-time job. So then I said to myself, we're growing up, we're all growing up, and there's nobody earning yet. And times weren't that good, weren't that good. But anyway, I said, it's time I got a full-time job. So I scanned the newspaper, situations vacant. And there was a post office in Belfast. And I applied. And I got the job. And it was Edenderry Post Office on the Crumlin Road. It was way at the top of the Crumlin Road, I remember. And I was there 9 years. I was in Belfast, you see, at the latter part of the Crumlin Road. Now, the war was on. Now, I can't quite remember exactly dates or anything, but the war was on. And many a night we spent under the stairs, because once the barrage balloons went up, we knew the planes were coming, and then the siren went, and once the siren went, we all lights out underneath the stairs. And I sat in a bundle of newspapers doing crosswords under the stairs. We had to stay, we heard the bombs dropping all around, and it was really scaresome, it was scaresome. So of course my mother had to get me home. She thought it was too dangerous for me. But there was plenty to do on the farm. I went home then. We were terribly rationed, too. Oh dear. I remember my mother bringing in a plate to my brother and 2 ounces of butter on it. And she says, that has to do you the week. But anyway, we weren't so bad because we had a couple of cows, and when one went dry, you always had the other one, and we had our own milk and butter, and then we had hens, we had eggs too. But in those days, the men shot rabbits and shot crows. Now, I tasted rabbit stew, and it was lovely. It was just like chicken, but I never tasted the crows. I don't know what they tasted like. I have something, in common with the Queen, because I watched the Queen's life story, and she fell in love with Prince Philip when she was in her early teens. I fell in love with a fella when I was in my early teens. But he went to the church I went to, and we did a lot together. We sang in the choir, and we Sunday school and all the rest of it. But anyway, that was all right. But marriage was never mentioned. But if looks could speak, it said it all. So anyway, he had 6 sisters, but they were all married and away, and he was looking after his father and mother, and they both lived till they were of great age, and he always said he'd never take anybody in as long as his mother was alive. His mother died in 1965, and we got married in 1966. But I wasn't like the Queen then, because she married in her 20s, but I was in my 40s when I got married, 45. So there you are.